How does it feel to be a pimp?
I don't know if I'd say that. Today feels good.
Yeah.
Like we accomplished an amazing. I'm so surprised with everything that happened this weekend.
Yeah. How so?
I think whenever you throw, with this project, we took people from 6 different states. Everybody met 2 days early.
Yeah.
Tried to get communication going, and it happened right away, and everybody gelled, and we came out here to Pachyderm, hopefully to get anywhere between 3 and 5 songs done, and we're sitting at over a dozen.
So you actually would let yourself walk away with 3 nicely recorded songs and you'd be happy with that?
I think if they would have been finished, because I so many times in the studio it's not finished, and being a studio engineer that you always don't feel like you're done.
Yeah.
So it's like, and there was a number of them that I listened to today, and I was just like, I think we're to mix, and like that, like to walk out of and even if you could walk out with one song and say, let's send that off to get mixed, or let's mix it, however it ends up being done, is huge, and to look at the board and say, oh man, there's a number of them that like sound great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's on the exterior, it was pretty impressive to watch you pull all that together.
Yeah.
And I think about the months leading up to that, and is this probably hatched in your mind like a year ago, probably?
Yeah, I would say like last fall, and I've done projects somewhat similar with the Hallaballoo project, where when I decided to kind of resurrect it after 15 years of not playing as a group and producing music, I brought in people that were on my payroll, which makes it a little easier. Yeah. Because although they're not getting paid to be here and they want to be here for the experience, and it's about giving the experience and having the experience with other people, I think that when they're on your payroll, you kind of have a little bit of an upper hand on some things. And then when you like bringing in Travis, who's a friend of 25 years, who the last time I played with him was 10 years ago. Before that it was another 10 years.
Was that 10 years ago at Sunfest?
2016, so 8.
Wow.
Yeah. Is that the one that you were at?
I was there.
That's the one that I met you at.
Yeah.
Because when the text started and he asked, and he's like, "Oh, you met him?" And I'm like in '99 or?
I didn't really remember you either, man. But like I remember you getting pissed at Rob.
Yeah.
And I remember the string broke.
Yeah.
Which I was told you do. You will sometimes break a string.
Sometimes it's intentional.
To go ahead and put it into
that one was just hard because it's you in your head you have one thing that I'm learning as I mature as a musician and a producer and a friend of people is that it doesn't go your way.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it's bad.
Yeah, it's a different story for a different time. Yeah. But so I wrote out with Travis, and he's a close friend of mine, and that's how I came into this project. And just kind of came in with some free time and thought, let's check this thing out. I had no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
Just whatever.
Yeah.
And I just know that Travis is a great drummer, and he's always spoke highly of you. And I felt like maybe an alternate dimension, I was in Slow Bus.
Okay.
Because Rob and Travis and I grew up together in the band, and I went to Denver, and Rob came out here where he met you, and then you guys picked up Travis, and it's like one different decision might have led me down that path. Totally. And I thought this would be a really fun project to just observe, and it's been really cool, man. What is your instrument, and how long have you been playing music?
My primary instrument would be guitar, and I started at 8 or 9 and struggled for years. And I think, then you get into the middle school, and that's kind of, you make that decision of, is it sports or music?
Yeah.
And then the team or the camaraderie of being in a band is just, I loved it.
Yeah.
And I loved being in the basement and creating. And for me, it was like, you grow up and you have these fantasies of and you're taught about magic, and you watch all these cartoons and it's all magic, and then you find out there's no Santa, and you're like, well, where's the magic?
Yeah.
And I think that the music was the first glimpse of real magic.
Yeah.
And then you play your first show and you're like, wow, my music can persuade people to do his things.
Right, like dance.
Like dance, or throw their buddy down on the ground and pick them up and hug them, or
moshing.
Yeah, and just all that kind of stuff, and it was like, wow, this is super powerful. So it's been about 35 years of playing music, and I've been lucky enough that when I have had a few injuries here and there, I'm able to heal quick and move on and keep continuing.
Yeah. And so you said you started in the basement. What was that? Did you have a little recording studio or jam space in the basement?
I had parents that were just super supportive, and when I hit about ninth grade, they decided, I was playing in a thrash punk rock band and screaming about the system and telling it to and hating everything, and they were like, shit, I can't deal with this, and they gave up one of their garage spaces and made a soundproof room. And then, then I hit that teenage rebellion and dyed my hair turquoise, and they thought I needed a therapist, and when they went to the therapist said, well, have you invited all the friends over? And they're like, and then
wow, that's a great therapist.
And then my dad told my mom, hey, you need to go to a hotel, I'll put you up wherever. And of course, me being
because she didn't want the noise.
Well, she didn't like the idea of somebody telling her what to do, and then but me being the entrepreneur, even in ninth grade, I can't just have a party with my friends over. I'm selling tickets and bringing bands from Chicago up and let them stay in the house. And
you're kind of already hustling.
Yeah, and it was just like, and that collective of just what music does to people, and bonding with people.
Yeah.
And just the brotherhood or you find a tribe in life, and when you find a tribe, you just stick with it.
Yeah.
So
music was that. Did you play sports at all? Did you try that?
I did, I did soccer, and pretty good at it, but it was just like, there was always that click that they got to the next level because of who their parents were.
Yeah.
And that injustice just never sat with me.
Uh-huh.
Like, you're not good, it's your parents or buddies,
And that was that like the coach was so
or something like that, yeah.
More and stuff,
yeah.
But that probably also other kids may have looked at you in that way because you had these supportive parents who were like giving you a studio to jam in and stuff too. And
and they were very supportive, for a while.
Until
well, you go to college and they're like, oh, you want to go to college for music, and then you move across the country, and a few years later,
big risk.
Yeah, a few years later you come back because everybody has a dream you're going to be a rock star, and you realize that sometimes you make choices to not be the rock star.
Well, there's certain levels of rock stardom.
And what is success?
Success to me is doing what you love in life.
Yeah. Well, and for me, like growing up, once I got to the college age, starting to play the Allman Brothers and getting into the Widespread Panics and those kind of bands that were very musical, and growing up with Hendrix, and then going to Oregon and getting to play on the Kesey stage, in Old Grove Forest, and
so it went from punk rock to hippie.
It kind of did. I think it was more of get to college and realize I'm not going to get hired with a mohawk in 1996.
Yeah.
It
was a different world back then.
Unless
you were in Southern California.
Yeah, but in Minnesota, you have charged hair and a color, and you walk to the zoo and all eyes are on you.
Yeah, which I loved as a kid.
Yeah, but I think it was then, going to school and learning and being like, I think guitar-wise, like Bad Religion's 8085 was one of my epic albums. And I learned every song off every one of those singles. And then as you start developing as a musician, you're like, well, that's easy. This is harder. A Hendrix song, like, what is he doing? How's his thumb reaching around?
Yeah, and there ain't no book telling you how to do it. That was raw.
And there was no videos like there are now.
Yeah.
Now I don't teach anymore, but when I did, it's like you can learn anything you want.
Yeah.
Like you just got to watch somebody.
Yeah.
And spend the time and rewatch it.
And I remember because I had a little guitar and a noodle, and I would there was nowhere for me to see how it was done.
Yeah.
Like I heard these sounds coming out of Anthrax's guitars, and I was like, how do you do it?
Yeah.
And my dad had he would string, a little acoustic, and he would play his country songs, and he gave me one, and I'm like, but this isn't what I want.
Yeah.
Like, how do I do this? And back then, it was like a maze trying to figure out.
Well, and you rewind your CD and try to find the spot and listen to it again, then it goes by too fast, and you're like, I can't do this. And now, it's been amazing to see the tools and the apps where you can slow something down in real time and be like, find the note,
Which was actually quite interesting when I was interviewing the Iceman earlier.
Yeah.
Because he told me he started out on the 4-track and he would slow it down.
Oh, yeah.
And he would learn how to play the solos by doing it that way.
That's awesome, yeah.
So he used technology that we had back then to do the same thing you're talking about.
He's a scientist.
He is absolutely a scientist. So. Yeah, and I guess just to jump topics quickly, like he is an amazing musician.
Yeah.
God damn, that guy can play.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Yeah.
And you've pulled in just every artist so far is just so good at what they do.
Yeah.
And you're so good at finding what they're good at, their strong suit, and just in a very nice way, like constructive way.
Yeah.
Just pulling it out from the studio, man.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot, the teacher mentality. I taught, so 19 to about mid-30s, and then my career took off enough where it was like, like this is a lot of work for the return, other than you get to be a mentor and you get to see people grow. But even with that, it was when I started in the 90s or in the early 2000s, you practice for an hour. If you want to learn how to do this, that's what you do. Yeah. And it's dedication, and it doesn't matter how good you are when you start. If you dedicate and do this for an hour, you'll be good. And then to get, to a time period where, hey man, I need you to do this 10 minutes 3 days a week, and you can't get that. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I don't want to be your friend. I mean, they're cool kids, but I want to, I got goals here.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've done internships at the labels I've worked with stuff, and it always is fun to show them how to do things and let them run with it, but it's not as rewarding. So basically what you're saying is you're able to take this experience as a teacher and get into the studio and use the same techniques.
I think so, and I think like that, and that's kind of the way I look at everything, and and this whole experience is just so, you learn so much about yourself in so many aspects.
Yeah.
And I catch myself all the time. I even caught myself today as we were loading off, telling somebody to move something, and I'm like, why does that need to be moved?
Yeah.
It's in the van. Am I just telling him to do that because I want to tell him to do that? Or he'll listen, or whatever it is. And I think so I'm finding that I grow so much too.
Yeah.
And especially when it takes a lot to come up with something or an idea, and then to go to somebody and say, I respect you enough to make this better. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I found the first time I went to a destination in this kind of setting, the first time I brought Hallaballoo to Studio in the Country, is that we did a way heavier pre-production.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't know if what's gonna happen, and everybody would come and do their pre-production, and I made a point of being like, certain people would do things, and I was like, I just don't like that. I'm like, I'm not going to tarnish this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to make them not feel comfortable because I've told them no before I let it develop itself.
Okay.
And then we went to the studio and we played it, and certain things that I didn't like in the beginning, when I actually mixed one of the EPs, I found parts that I was like, I love this, and I didn't even hear it, or something that I didn't like, they heard it themselves in a well-tuned room. And we're like, I'm not locking on with so I'm going to move that. There was even a couple things today that the band mutated their parts to make it sound so good.
Yeah, there's an art form to that.
Yeah.
And as I was writing out with Travis, his nervousness and anxiety was just, I've never seen it so high. I've known him since I was a child.
Yeah.
And just to see his gears spinning in such a way that he can barely make basic decisions. I can tell that the dude is super stressed out about this, and I'm just like, hey man, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You're gonna get through it, and I know that he can hear me.
Yeah.
I know that he trusts me, but I know it's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't. He's not gonna understand that until he's in there.
Yeah. And I think that the destination studios.
Yeah.
You're so, you wake up together, you eat together. Eventually you get so tired that your brain after one day is just like, I'm done thinking. Yeah. I just got to trust.
He was already there before he left.
Yeah, which is great because we settled in so quickly.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about how you guys met.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of interesting because I met Rob, who was in Slow Bus and grew up with you guys, and we went to school together, and then we had this dream of we're going to form a band. Because now we all got a degree of some kind, even though it doesn't mean shit. We got. Let's rephrase that. We have a piece of paper that says we know something. And Rob's like, I grew up with this guy. He's the best drummer. He hauled his drum sets up to the tops of mountains and beat them all the time. And I'm like, really? Well, what? And he's like, yep. I'm like, can we get him to come out here? And he's like, I don't think so. It's either, So, I mean, we met in, I think, Three Forks or wherever he was living at the time, or outside of Bozeman. you know, and we were a little standoffish in the beginning, but then we just bonded.
Yeah.
You know, and I was talking to him a couple nights ago, and I said, I think it's because we're both alphas. And that's why we bounced a little bit.
It can be hard.
You know, and then we realized, like, hey, we both have a strong work ethic.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I think I bonded to him was, you know, with bands, I've always looked at people and sat down at a table and said, if you want this as bad as I do, we're unstoppable.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to quit.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been really hard to see, you know, to be into my 40s and see so many people that just give up. And you don't have to give up. You can always have a spot for it.
You can dial back.
Yeah.
You can come back at any time.
Yep. And you know, because music is just the best friend you can ever have.
Yeah.
You know,
One of them.
whatever, you know, so.
Creativity, art, really just self-expression.
Yeah.
You know?